Well, good afternoon and Happy New Year. Happy New 2022. It's great to be here again with you for the first Tuesday of the year 2022. How are you doing? How did you end the year? I hope it was with a lot of peace and tranquility, feeling good about being among family and friends, and reflecting on what 2021 was like for you. I know it was difficult for a lot of us for a lot of reasons that we know, but we know that we thrive during challenges. So, again, Happy New Year. And I really, really mean that it will be a Happy New Year because we can still have joy, actually, in the midst of challenges because we know that we are fully resourced to um, excel or rise above the challenges. So, thank you for starting out this new year with me again in this space that we call Thinking Tuesday. Each Tuesday at noon, we set aside a few minutes to just reflect on that thing that drive our feeling, that thing that drives our feelings and our actions, that thing that is responsible for the things that we do, that thing that is responsible for the decisions that we make. And that thing that I'm speaking of is our thinking, our thinking, because that's where it begins. We want to pay attention to how it's been serving us. Is our thinking supportive of the goals and the dreams that we have for ourselves? That's the constant question that we need to ask ourselves as we take regular inventory. Now, whether or not you make New Year's resolutions, it's especially important that you go back to the drawing board to evaluate why things have not worked for you or what have you done to make them work for you. How was your mindset, your thoughts driving you? How were your thoughts driving your decisions and your actions that you took or that you didn't take? How were those decisions made? So, if you want to meet with more success this year, it should begin with an inventory of your mindset, right? Because as we say here on Thinking Tuesday, your mind is a garden, your thoughts are the seeds, and you can choose to grow flowers or you can choose to grow weeds. And we know what happens with weeds when we don't pluck them. They just take over everything. And what could be beautiful just becomes a field of weeds running wild. Even though some weeds can look beautiful, but nevertheless, they're still weeds. So we have to protect what we put into our minds. We know that we're always absorbing information, even when we're not conscious of it. So as I was thinking about the best and most productive way of creating or certainly reinforcing a positive mindset during the new year. Of course, after spending time in prayer and meditation. And the answer that came to me was set your intention. That's how we begin to create or reinforce a positive mindset during this new year and continuously. We need to set our intention. And then my next question was, well, how do you do that? What do we do? We set our intention, and how do we do it? Was my next question. As you can see, I have these conversations with myself. If we ask ourselves questions, I believe it would help us to develop conversations and insights about what we're thinking. It would help us to develop a path to clarify and get answers to what we're trying to learn. So don't be afraid to speak to yourself, to talk to yourself. We used to think back in the day, this is old time thinking, and unfortunately, some people still think that, but you used to see people walking and talking to themselves, and you just write them off and say, oh, they're crazy. That's not necessarily so. We speak to ourselves, we speak positive things to ourselves. So I encourage you to speak to yourself, ask yourself questions. So, getting back to your intention for the new year, you can begin that with an affirmative statement on what you're going to do. For instance, I'm going to go to the gym on Monday, or I'm going to start cooking more meals at home instead of dining out, or I'm going to read at least one book per month on personal development during this year. Those are affirmative statements that you can make to begin to set your intention. This is important because we speak it affirmatively, and as you've heard in my previous messages, our subconscious mind will take it in, will download it as truth without any question, because that is the way our subconscious works. So we have to be very careful about what we speak into our minds, because what we say is what we become. But this is only the beginning, speaking that affirmative statement. It's only the beginning. Ultimately, you have to act. You have to act on what you say, because you're trying to develop or reinforce a new habit. And these have to be nurtured if you want them to come into reality and if you want to sustain them. So, in setting your intention, you're thinking a thought or making a statement of what you desire or what you would like to do. But you must cross the bridge to go from desire to action. Desire to action if you want to make this a reality. You can't just say it. It's not going to happen just because you say it. It is very, very important to really understand the concept of intentionality. And that's what I want to speak about today. Intentionality, which is a necessary ingredient in the process of turning a thought or a desire or a wish into reality. We have to be intentional. So, what does it really, really mean to be intentional? And what does that look like? What does being intentional look like? To be intentional, we have to be able to give, you have to be able to give yourself a command and follow it through with a specific way in order to have the outcome that you desire. So, to be intentional, you have to be able to give yourself a command and follow through with it in a specific way, not just randomly, specific way in order to have the outcome that you envision, that you desire. It cannot just be words. We are inspired by words, but in the end, it's the action that counts. We are convinced by the action and the results, but it starts with the words. Now, one of my favorite personal development books is The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by one of my mentors, John Maxwell. He says that growth does not happen accidentally, and that's true. We have to be intentional in what we do in order to grow, to truly grow and appreciate the changes that are being made in our lives. But I will add that change, which is growth also, change does not just happen. We have to be intentional in our actions if we want to create change. Don't we? We do. Because according to the law of diminishing intent, the longer you wait to do something that you should do now, the greater the odds that you will never actually do it. That's the law of diminishing intent. We intend to do something, but we don't do it. So I was moved last night. I was moved last night by the kickoff session of my 60-day accountability group, Creating a New You in 2022, that I had been talking about in the last month or so. I was so moved last night to hear the participants speak about their goals and their dreams and how these have been so elusive in some cases because they were not intentional in pursuing them because of a variety of reasons. You know, either taking care of others or life getting in the way. You name it, there were several reasons. But the great news is what was so exciting about this as we continued our discussion last night is that this time around, they are taking action. They have decided to be intentional, and they started to be intentional by setting their intention when they signed up for this group and then following through on our first kickoff last night. And it was a great, inspiring kickoff. I'm so excited to see what they're going to be producing at the end of the 60 days. They have committed to take the next 60 days to take specific actions as they go through this experience to make things happen that they've been desiring to happen. So kudos to them. Kudos to them. And I can't wait to see what they will accomplish at the end of our journey together. So it's never too late to be intentional. The important thing is that you get started. And don't be afraid of making mistakes because many times that's what keeps us back. We're afraid of making mistakes, but we can't make mistakes if we don't start. And mistakes are just another way of learning. So use those lessons, use the lessons that you learn from mistakes. Otherwise, they just remain mistakes that you don't learn from. Some of the best products and services that we use daily are the results of earlier mistakes made by the inventor. So mistakes lead to new learning. So be intentional. Don't be concerned about the mistakes. They might teach you something that you didn't know before. As I mentioned in one of my most recent messages, the problem that many people face in trying to make changes is that they do not apply what they learn. This has to do with intentionality again. I mentioned before that sometimes we go to an event and it's so inspiring, but then we leave just with inspiration and we take no action. So one of the main problems that we face is that we do not apply what we learn. In other words, people are not intentional in taking the necessary action to support their words and desires. I know some people who have been desiring to do things for a long time, and 15 years later, they're still desiring to do it because they have not taken the action that's necessary to support that desire. So, my question and my challenge to you today is, are you ready? Are you ready to intentionally do something today? Yes, today, to move you forward. No matter where you are right now, if you're hearing this live, or if you're going to listen to the replay, or if you're going to listen to it on YouTube, do something intentionally to take you one step closer to what you want to achieve. Make a commitment to be intentional on a daily basis about something by putting it on your daily agenda. Because your daily agenda is going to speak volumes about what you're doing or what you're not doing. Make it part of your daily agenda. Be intentional. Give yourself alerts to remind you. With all the technology we have today, we don't have to depend on our memory, because we're busy people. Sometimes we forget some things. But use those technological uh, uh, apps, those apps that can remind us about things that we have to do. Use whatever aids you might find to keep you on track of being intentional. You might feel like you don't have enough time to do it today, but do it anyway. Do it anyway. As Nike said, just do it. You might try giving yourself an excuse that you don't have time to do it, but we make time for the things that we feel are important. Recognize that this is a version of your old self, or yes, a version of your old self that's trying to prevent you from moving outside of your comfort zone, because it feels so comfortable there, right? It feels like, having a nice old comfy blanket. We don't want to get out of it. And so even though we have desires to do something, many times that old version of ourselves, the one that we're trying to change, get in the way and resist changing the status quo, because the comfort zone feels oh so comfortable, right? If you can't keep yourself accountable, find someone else who can help you be accountable so that you can be intentional in what you're doing. Get up early, do something different. Get up early, stay up a little later, give up something. Maybe a lunch hour. I'm not telling you not to eat lunch, but this is not an everyday thing, but do something different. Because if you don't do something different, you're always going to be stuck in the same pattern. And that's what holds us back. You have to have that whatever it takes mentality in order to be intentional. So just do it and start now. Because the more you do, the closer you will move towards achieving what you desire, and the more inspired you will be. So don't wait for inspiration to show up. You have to create your own inspiration. It will not come looking for you. So one step at a time will get you there. It's not a race, you know. I'll close with a brief story of an inspiring writer, aspiring writer. She's also inspiring because I've been inspired by her work. An aspiring writer who I've been coaching for several weeks. This is a young lady who loves to write, has a very creative imagination, and can keep you enthralled with her writing, but who just lost a bit of confidence in herself, wanted to write, had this desire, and couldn't decide how to get it moving forward. Got lost in some of life's distraction, but still had this yearning to write. It never leaves us really. So pay attention to those thoughts that keep gnawing at the back of our mind. They're trying to get your attention. So don't dismiss them. So after being intentional, we worked for her to be intentional on a daily basis. She has now written several I'm getting my tongue twisted. She has written several short stories to build her muscles, her writing muscles, her imagination muscles, and has not been able to stop writing. What began as a recent short story appears to be turning out to be the novel that she's always dreamed of writing. She's so excited now about writing. She looks forward to writing. I get her writings daily. So what began as a recent short story now seems to be on the way to that novel that she wants to write. It's no longer a chore. She's now learning, and she's learned to identify the things that have distracted her and take her away from her goal. But she looks forward to it daily, and she continues to apply what she's learning. She feels accomplished and now has registered for a writing class to continue to pursue her writing. Now, isn't that inspirational? And that's because She's been intentional. That's the result of being intentional. One day at a time. No rush, but just putting one foot in front of the other. It reminds me of when I was working in an alcoholism clinic. We talked about one day at a time to sobriety. Just do that one thing that's going to help you stay focused on what it is you're trying to accomplish. And I really grew to respect the accomplishment, was very, very difficult for a lot of the alcoholics. Because once they caught on to what it is to be intentional one day at a time to achieve sobriety, it was just a beautiful thing. It's been many, many, many years now, but I still remember that. And I use that too, because it's not just for AA or for alcoholics or substance abuser, it's for everyone. Just take one step at a time. So I encourage you to take one step today, another tomorrow, the next day, and the next. Don't beat yourself up if you miss a step, because sometimes we're too good at that. We're better than that, than being compassionate to ourselves. So don't beat yourself up, but don't use that as an excuse to stop because you miss one day. Get back on the proverbial horse and get going again ASAP, as soon as possible. But learn from that. Learn from that. Have that conversation with yourself that I described earlier. Talk to yourself. Ask yourself, what got in the way? What distracted me? How can I avoid this happening again? That's the mistake I was talking about that you can learn from. How can I avoid that happening again? Be honest with yourself and hold yourself accountable. Or find someone who can help you stay on track by holding you accountable. Be willing to have people challenge your behavior, challenge your thoughts. It's not a criticism, it's a way of supporting you. Remember, in closing, that having good intentions is simply having a desire or a wish to do or to attain something. But to be intentional is the act of being, of living out those actions to make that desire a reality. It's being or living out those actions that make that desire a reality. Be intentional about something you desire to attain today. As usual, I want to invite you to share this message with someone who you feel can benefit from it. Everyone can benefit from these lessons. Share this with them. Replay it for yourself if you feel that you've missed something. Go to my website and just browse around, see what services and products are there to help you as you try to be intentional this year in 2022. You can always contact me. My contact information is there on my website, drcherylburton.com. I offer complimentary consultations to help get you on track. But be good to yourself. You deserve it. Make 2022 the year of no excuses, as another one of my mentors is saying this year. And be intentional. If you want to create a new you in 2022, you have to be intentional. I know I am trying to be intentional. So we feel good when we accomplish something, when we are successful at something, and that gives us the impetus to continue. So take care of yourself. Be intentional about something today. I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at noon right here for Thinking Tuesday. So take care and bye for now. See you next Tuesday.